Hey folks, it's Rob from Rob's Movie Collection, and I have another top 10 list. I've been doing a lot of these lately. This one is my top 10 favorite movies from the 1980s, sci-fi favorite movies from favorite sci-fi movie. Let's get this right. My top 10 favorite sci-fi movies from the 80s. Now that wasn't so damn hard, was it? But okay. It's late at night. Alright. I'm going to, as always with these lists, I always say the same thing. I'm going to try to run through these really fast and not really get into them too deeply because I hope to do individual episodes. When are those going to happen, you might ask? Yes, they will this year. We'll try to get to all of them this year. But basically just showing you my list really quick of these movies. So let's get started. At number 10, I have Tron from 1982. Directed by Steve Lisberger, starring Jeff Bridges, Bruce Boxleitner, Cindy Morgan, and David Warner. Tron was a first for us. It's one of two movies that kind of ushered in the CG era in movies. The other one, those of you who are into sci-fi will automatically know which the other one is. And yes, it is on this list later on. Tron was, boy, that was different for us, but we'd never seen anything like that before. It just, the world of video games. These were our video games back in those days in the 80s. We used to go to the video arcade and play games like this, and we just thought it was really cool to see the inside of a game and to see these characters being in there, and boy, those light cycles were very cool. But yeah, it was just a great film, and it really did start the whole CG thing, and this is where it came from. Those of you who are younger and might look at this film and kind of think it's cheesy and all, this is why you have today's CG effects. Okay, all right. So moving on.
Arrakis, Dune, desert planet.
At number 9, I've got Dune from 1984, directed by David Lynch and starring Kyle MacLachlan, Sean Young, Max von Sydow, and a slew of other stars and celebrities and actors, really. But I enjoyed this film. When it came out, I didn't see it immediately, so I actually got a chance to read at least the first book first before I finally watched it. But I was okay with it. I mean, I know it leaves out a lot of stuff, and like I say, they'll eventually hopefully get to that. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the look of it. I enjoyed the music, and the actors were fine. And I was just looking forward to seeing those worms. And boy, those sandworms did not disappoint. So I definitely think it's worth it. It's certainly developed a cult following, and it's very popular now. So I would check it out if I were you. Okay, so let's move on.
Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
At number 8, I've got Robocop. This is from 1987 and directed by Paul Verhoeven, starring Peter Weller, Nancy Allen, and the dad from That 70s Show, Kurtwood Smith. Look at this. I didn't even realize I had my first Steelbook and on DVD there. I didn't even know that. I didn't make that connection. So Robocop, this was different. It's a satire, a political satire, a satire on the media, the law. It's just and big business, all that, and still exciting and funny at the same time. And I'll buy that for $1. Paid a little more for this one, but definitely a great movie. Certainly a lot better than that remake they made. They kind of lost the point in that one. But Peter Weller was great. And he was sad. This poor guy that was shot up and turned into this creature. Really, it's kind of like a Frankenstein story. And then had to live with that, missing his wife and his family. So, but very well done and very exciting and fun movie. So, moving on to the next one, we've got Blade Runner. Blade Runner from 1982, directed by Ridley Scott, and starring Harrison Ford, Sean Young, and Edward James Olmos, Daryl Hannah, and of course Rutger Hauer. You might think, why isn't Blade Runner higher? Well, that's not a commentary on how I feel about the film. The film is a masterpiece of mood, masterpiece of cinematography. It's kind of a film noir type thing. Great story. Also a little Frankenstein element there. I mean, it's just, at this point in my life, I'm kind of going in middle age here, and things change in your life. If this was 20 years ago, this film would definitely be near the top. But it is a dark film. There's no getting around that. And right now in my life, I need things a little more light. You're in a position where your loved ones you see their mortality a little more, and life is a little more difficult. And well, I'm not going to I'm not going to get into that. But anyway, like I say, it's not a commentary on how much I like the film. It's just a great film, and you might have heard that there's a sequel that they've made with Ryan Gosling. I don't really understand the appeal of Ryan Gosling, but anyway, he's in it, and Harrison Ford is going to be in it as well. And hopefully, he won't continue his trend of killing off his iconic characters. Although, ironically, of all of them, I think this is probably the character that would die. But if he goes, then all we'll have is Indiana Jones left, and hopefully he won't off him as well. Because we still got the guy from Mosquito Coast, so whatever. But check out Blade Runner. I'm sure everyone has seen Blade Runner, but if you haven't, definitely check it out. Okay, let's move along, because the time's running out.
That Terminator is out there, and it absolutely will not stop, ever, until you are dead.
Next up at number 6, The Terminator from 1984, directed, of course, by James Cameron, and starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Linda Hamilton as Sarah Connor. I don't know why I'm talking like that. You just can't help it when you talk about one of his films. And also starring Michael Biehn as Reese. Terminator, of course, there had been other robots that looked like people before this, but the Terminator was dark and it was violent, and here was Arnold, who had been in Conan, and he didn't say a word to the whole film, which pretty much worked for him. But this time travel story, and it was weird and exciting, and all the characters were great, and very suspenseful. And you got the feeling that how the hell are they going to stop this thing? I mean, it just would not stop.
Get away from her, you bitch!
Next up, let's move on. At number 5, we've got Aliens. Yes, Aliens from 1986, another James Cameron directed film, starring Sigourney Weaver, Michael Biehn again, and Bill Paxton in a bigger role in this one. Sequel to Alien, but a different type of film than Alien. It's kind of hard to, some people would say, well, this is a better sequel than, you can't really compare it. I mean, the Alien was a horror film, and this one is just a different type of animal. It's very exciting. It's rare when they do this sort of thing. Most of the time a studio wants, in a sequel, they want the same thing as the first one, but they somehow got it made differently, and boy, it sure worked. And one of the great iconic characters in Ripley, and she really kicked ass in this one, and we got to see this queen, the alien queen, and just it was great, and a great score by James Horner, very exciting, one of his most exciting scores that he's ever done. So definitely Aliens is very, very exciting, and boy, if you're gonna watch this film, if you watch Alien and then you go right into Aliens, you just get ready to really kind of change gears, because it's very different. Absolutely. Okay, let's move on really quick here. At number 4, I've got Predator. Predator from 1987, directed by John McTiernan, and starring once again Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers, of course, from Apollo, from Rocky, and an alien that is...
You're one ugly motherfucker.
That's right, yes. But what a great design by Stan Winston and his company. This we've never seen that before. I mean, it's just the weirdest looking alien. But boy, he was pretty intimidating with the mask on. But when he took it off and those pincers and stuff, I remember the advertisements about this was finally an opponent that can, beat Arnold. I mean, and they were right. A great score by Alan Silvestri, which for a long time was very difficult to find. It still is. But boy, the testosterone in this film, just muscles everywhere in the jungle and all sweaty. So, they're all macho guys there and fighting this alien. But just a great film, and just check it out. So at number 3, I've got
You have been recruited by the Star League to defend the frontier against Zur and the Kodan Armada.
The Last Starfighter from 1984, starring Lance Guest, Catherine Mayer Stewart, and Robert Preston. This is the other film that kind of ushered in the CG era. The spaceships and the effects and all the vehicles on this, they were computer generated, and they kind of looked it. I mean, even in 1984, it looked to us like a video game. But you know what? After you get past the initial kind of like, what is that? You still kind of enjoy it because it's a good story. I mean, in 1984, I was like 19 or something, and this is a story of a kid who gets to go off into space and fight bad guys in a starship. They appealed to all of us back then. I mean, that was kind of cool. So, and Lance Guest was really good as Alex Rogan, and Dan O'Hara-Lee, this guy here who played Krieg, he was really great. Good makeup. It's very well done. Very, very fun film, and that's why it's more at the top of my list here, because I just really enjoy the fun of it. Okay, so moving on really quick here at number. Whoops, I almost lost it here. Number 2, I've got Flash Gordon from 1980, starring Sam Jones, Melody Anderson, and Max von Sydow. Definitely one of my favorite films of all time. This is it is a cheese fest, but it's got this great score by Queen. It's just a lot of fun. I've mentioned fun in a lot of my videos, and it just is a lot of fun. I've been watching this film for 30 years, and yeah, the acting is terrible. But you got Brian Blessed in there. If you've seen the movie Ted with the little teddy bear, they talk about this film there too. And that scene in that movie, that's kind of how I felt. I mean, this is an awesome movie. Max von Sydow. Now, this is, they will inevitably make another Flash Gordon film. They kind of remake it. But this is probably the last time that you'll see them in their true form, like the comic book, because you're probably not going to see Ming the Merciless look like this, not in this politically correct era. So, yeah, you just got to watch it. I can't even describe it here. But it's got this great design to it, and the ships and all. It just looks great, and just I smile every time I even think about this film. Okay, so moving on. We're almost out of time here. At number 1.
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me that you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
Back to the Future. Yes, the first Back to the Future from 1985. Directed by Robert Zemeckis. Starring, of course, Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd, Leah Thompson, Crispin Glover. For my money, the best time travel film ever. It's not easy to make a time travel film. There's a lot of paradoxes, a lot of holes in the plot that just are there. You can't help it. But this is the one that portrayed it in my opinion, the best. Yeah, I know we got the time machine out there, but this one was, again in 1985, I was like 20 or 19 going on 20. Birthday's at the end of the year. A kid who gets to time travel in a DeLorean, that was just awesome. So I'm running a little short on time here. I'm about to hit 15 minutes, so don't really have to say that much about Back to the Future. I'm sure everyone knows about it, and I definitely will do an episode on this, of course. But for me, probably the best sci-fi movie of the 80s. These little lists tend to go from my collection, my personal collection. And you, of course, notice that there are no Star Wars films or Star Trek films on this list. I kind of cut them out on purpose so we could have a little variety in here, because otherwise it would be all Star Trek and Star Wars. And then I picked the films from my collection, because there's so many sci-fi films out there. But yeah, for me, my number 1, Back to the Future. So check it out. If it's possible you haven't seen it, check it out. All right, see you next time. Bye.